Good morning, Year 8. Let's make a start on our lesson for today. Today, we'll be learning about plant and animal cells. So, we'll be looking into the cells, their structures, and also how their structure supports their function. So, we'll be looking into how the structure of these cells helps the cell do its job. We're also going to be doing a practical element at the end of our lesson today, using microscopes to look into these cells ourselves. Before we get started on our lesson today, can anyone tell me what a cell is? Yeah, building blocks, perfect. And what might have cells? Who might have cells? Plants, animals. What about humans? Exactly. So everything living is made up of cells. As we mentioned, humans, animals, plants, all made up of cells. Taking a look at the screen in front of us, I've got two images up here. What I want you to do is take a moment to compare the two and jot down any differences that you see between these two photos. So breaking into your table groups, 2 or 3 minutes, jot down 2 or 3 differences you see. And also I want you to think about the shape of these cells as well. So 2 or 3 minutes, we'll regroup, come back together and see what we come up with. Alrighty, eyes back up the front. Let's have a chat about what we found. Who can tell me the differences that they noted down? The one on the right has a thicker outer layer. Yeah. It also has in that top left-hand corner that circle with the lines in it. And the thing down the bottom right. Perfect. So the things we've noticed there are chloroplasts in the top right-hand corner, top left-hand corner, sorry. The bottom right-hand corner is a large central vacuole, and the outer shell that we're talking about is our cell wall. So keeping that in mind, which one do you think is the plant cell and which one do you think is the animal cell? Yeah, perfect. So the one on the right is our plant cell, one on the left is our animal cell. Looking into the shape of these ones, we can see that the one on the left is a little bit more circular and our one on the right is a little bit more structured, almost like a brick. Yeah, can we see that? Does anyone know why this might be yet? The cell wall might give it more structure? Perfect, that's spot on. Now, I have another question for you in regards to the shape and the structure of the outside and just the appearance of these cells. Does anyone know why these cells might be shaped differently? Why the plant cell looks a little bit more structured, why the animal cell is a little bit more rounded, a little bit more soft looking? Not yet? Perfect. Keep this question in mind as we go through our learning for today, and we're going to revisit this question before we leave today to check our learning. Before getting into the nitty gritties of cells and all things exciting about the basic units of life, our intended learning outcomes and success criteria. So, by the end of this lesson, you will be able to identify key parts of animal and plant cells, also explaining how each structure helps the cell do its job. Your I will know I've learned this whens. I have learned this when I can identify key differences between plant and animal cells, describe how cell structure relates to its function, and explain how cells form tissues and organs. Getting started, to introduce you to cells, I want you to watch this short clip. It goes for 8 to 10 minutes. I want all devices down, eyes on the board. So let's watch this video. We'll come back and we'll break down cells to make it a little bit easier to understand. So now we've watched this video and we have a good idea of the structures of the cell and how these structures might support the functions of these cells. Let's break down these cells into easier terms that we're going to be able to remember. So when we think of a cell, what I want you to think of is a factory. And as we learnt, every organelle, which is the word for the internal structures of the cell, has a specific job. So every single shape here in these cells has a specific purpose within that cell. The nucleus, which is this circle in the middle of our plant and our animal cells, is like a manager's office, like the cell's brain. It controls what happens within the cell. The mitochondria, which is the power plants for the cell, they produce energy. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, and you might carry this saying into many, many, many years to come. So the mitochondria create energy within the cell. The cytoplasm, which is all of this blue space on our animal cell and all of this orangey brown space in our plant cell, this is where all of the work happens. So think of it like the factory floor, where every little organelle is doing all of its little things it needs to do to make sure that the cell can function. The cell membrane that we see on the outside of our animal cell here on the left and the inside of that cell wall on our plant cell, this is like a security guard. So it controls and decides what enters and leaves the cell. Comparing these two cells, what organelles do both have? What can we see? What did we compare before? A mitochondria, perfect, nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, cytoplasm, perfect, and what was the other one? Cell membrane, perfect. Now, plant cells, so our one on the right, they have some features that are unique to the plant cell. Our plant cells, as we've talked about, have a cell wall, which is this outer surface giving the plant shape and support. Chloroplasts are the top left-hand corner structure here, and what they do is they capture sunlight to make food through a process called photosynthesis. So these chloroplasts capture the sunlight, make food, make energy for the plant through photosynthesis. The large central vacuole, which is this bottom right structure, this is a storage tank for the cell. So in our plant cells, this holds water and it holds nutrients. So even though plants and animals both have cells, their cells look a little different and function a little differently as well. Notice that both types of cells have a nucleus, a mitochondria, and a cytoplasm. This is because all cells need energy and coordination to survive. But only plant cells have chloroplasts and a cell wall, which is why plants can hold themselves upright without bones and also make their own energy without food. So taking this a step further now, cells don't work on their own. They're all a part of a bigger system. We call this the levels of organization in living things. So at the smallest level, which is on the left-hand side of our screen here, we can see the cell. This is the smallest part, the basic unit of life. Moving across to the right-hand side, we can see that similar groups of cells form together to create a tissue like a muscle tissue. Different tissues combine to make an organ, such as the heart. Organs work together to form an organ system, like the circulatory system. And then when all of these organs work together, we have an organ system that completes the living organism itself. For example, in animals, red blood cells form blood tissue, which helps the heart pump blood through the circulatory system, keeping the organism alive. Now that we've talked about the structure and the function of cells, we're going to look at these cells underneath a microscope to see the relationship and also the structures in action. You'll be working in your lab groups for today for this activity. We're going to prepare some slides using onion membrane to observe the plant cell, and I've prepared you cheek cell swabs for your animal cell slides, so they're already prepared for you. As you observe, completing your worksheet by answering questions such as what structures can you see, how do you think this structure helps the cell function, and also why is this organelle present within this cell type. You'll also be sketching and labeling your observations to show the link between structure and function. Before we get started, I'm going to demonstrate to you how to prepare your plant cell slide, and then we're going to break into our groups. I'll be circulating the room, so if you need help or have something you want to share with me, please raise your hand, call me over, and I'll be there right away. Wrapping up for today, you have an exit ticket question to complete for me. Thinking back to the question we asked at the start of our lesson, what do you think the shape of the cell contributes to the function of the cell? So, describe how the structure of a plant or animal cell supports its function. Once you have answered this question in your notebooks, please grab your devices, open them up, join our Kahoot quiz to test our knowledge for today.